Exhibitionism. When you talk of exhibitionism, most people think of the sexual exhibitionist, the flasher who exposes himself, and it's usually himself, in the park to unsuspecting women. There is, however, another definition, and that is a tendency towards display or extravagant behaviour. And once you look at it from that point of view, you find that any book on exhibitionism actually should include the performing arts, the visual arts, and also, perhaps the most interesting of them all, architecture. Exhibitionism and the visual arts. By the visual arts, I mean painting and sculpture mainly. And when I was researching the book, I found it very interesting that it became apparent that what separates the great publicly exhibited artists is, if you like, the exhibitionist gene. It's not just talent, they must have some sort of inner desire to get their work out there. But if you look at the world of art, and especially the 21st century world of art, it's not just the artist who's important and who's exhibiting himself. You also have the art collector. We've all heard of Charles Saatchi. We have the museum or the gallery curator who arranges the way in which the work is displayed. And you have the art critic who places the work of art in a pantheon of previous works and compares it to other contemporary works. Architecture. When began the book about exhibitionism, I did wonder whether architecture actually belonged in it. By the time I'd finished, I thought I'd come to the conclusion that architecture was perhaps the most important aspect of human exhibitionism. If you think, for example, if you go back and think about the great civilizations of the past, if you think about, let's take the Romans. Could you name 3 Roman emperors? Could you name 3 Roman poets or 3 famous Roman orators? You'd probably struggle. Whereas, however, if I was to say to you, who built the wall between England and Scotland? Hadrian's Wall. And what's the famous building in the heart of Rome called? The Colosseum. Everybody would be able to name it, because these are physical reminders of great civilizations. If we come to our own time, if you come to London, you come to London to see the sights. You come to see Buckingham Palace, St Paul's Cathedral, and our time in London will be remembered for things like the Shard, the London Eye, the Gherkin. So buildings are very, very important statements of human wealth and power. The media, and by this really I mean the performance media, largely broadcast, but also in the theatre and on film. Sir Laurence Olivier, who's probably the most famous actor of the 20th century, once said that acting is a masochistic form of exhibitionism, and that it was not quite the occupation for an adult. And I think that more or less sums it up. If you look at the qualities that you need to be to perform, there again you do need to be an exhibitionist. You do need to be able to get out there and project your personality or your character on the audience. In the book, I look into how there are various different types of performers. You go from the method actor whose aim is absolutely to lose any sense of their self and be completely taken over by the character, to the rather more recognisable types, the sort of in-character, over-the-top characters, if you like. And if you think of the broadcast media, think of people like Graham Norton, this shiny suit. Older people may remember Bob Monkhouse, also very, very extravagantly dressed. The rise of the broadcast media, of course, has meant that you are you are virtually only one click of your TV remote away from seeing somebody who is, being outrageously over the top, who's an actor as an exhibitionist as opposed to merely exhibiting their talent. Exhibitionism and the 21st century. Well, we have to ask ourselves the question, who are the exhibitionists now? The answer is that you are. All of us who've got access to a personal computer are now, however unwittingly, exhibiting ourselves to the rest of the world for our buying habits, and to people who are monitoring our, the sites and things that we visit. We also have multimedia like Twitter. There's also Facebook, when the details of people's private lives and their opinions are frequently are displayed for all the world to see. This has been a sea change since I was growing up in the 50s and 60s, where to be thought of, one of the worst things you could be thought of was as a show-off, somebody who was forever making an exhibition of themselves. I think there's also been, apart from our use of social media, I think there's also been a change in the way we behave, and I think that's probably been stimulated by the by TV shows. I mean, I remember when I was at school, we would have people doing John Cleese's silly walks and repeating all the catchphrases from Monty Python and all that sort of thing. So, where all this is going to lead, I don't know. I think there are probably going to be serious issues involved in social media, but only the 21st century can answer that question.